the proposed cross-code game. Now, for those who've been around the game for a long time, it pops up every now and again. The story now is the Kangaroos to play the All Blacks, rules to be decided, which is a fairly big hurdle to jump, I would have thought. Morgs, I'll go to you first, Gits. Gits, your family history is strong in rugby league. Obviously, your dad was a very well-known player, well-known rugby league player. What do you think of a cross-code game? Could it work? Would you like to see it?
I'd love to see it. I went to the pub, accidentally snuck in for a beer yesterday, and the first person I walked in, he said, "Oh, what about this?" He's a league guy, loves the Raiders. He said, "What about this proposed game? Wouldn't this be great?" And then everyone around the table started talking about how they thought it would work or why they thought it would be great. But not one person said, "Oh, this shouldn't happen. It can't go ahead." There's nothing but positivity around it. So I think it'd be great. I think it'd be awesome if it would happen. I understand the reasons behind the Kangaroos who have been so dominant in rugby league for so long and the All Blacks who have been so dominant in rugby for so long going against each other. But I'd love to see two Australian teams having a crack at it eventually.
Who's got the most to lose?
Oh, it depends how the rules come out. If it's swayed more league dominant, then potentially they do. But I mean that's a good question. I think it's based purely on the rules and the availability of players and when it is. If it's at the end of the year, maybe some guys have had a big year might not want to put their hand up.
Yeah, in terms of who's got the most to lose, I would think in Australia the leagueies have the most to lose, but worldwide the All Blacks probably would. Especially being around Sydney, Gits you'd know as well, being around loving league as well. But that's always the answer. You'd like to get bashed or whatever. And so in Australia, I think the expectation would be the Kangaroos would win, but globally, that All Blacks brand would take a hit if they get beat by rugby league. I think entertainment value and money-wise, it would be amazing. The interesting thing, as Gits mentioned, is the rules. You would have to make the rules so close to rugby league to make this feasible that it would be really – and I think the negotiations there would be the hardest bit. I think the revenue share would be easy. We'll just put all the cash in our back pocket if you're NRL and the All Blacks.
I think you also wouldn't – the All Blacks couldn't – if you were to play it more rugby league style, then you'd change your tight five. You'd make them more back rowers. So it probably wouldn't actually be the All Blacks and it wouldn't be who they'd normally pick. So you'd just change how you'd structure your team a little bit.
Yeah, because you couldn't have a scrum. Well, yeah, you couldn't have scrums, lineouts. You couldn't have rucks. You couldn't have mauls. It'd end up being pseudo-league with maybe a 2 metre defensive line back instead of 10 or something. So
that's probably one of the key issues. Is it's going to be that the game has to be shaped more towards the league style of playing than the union style of playing because union players play a similar style to league, if you will, in terms of carrying the ball, etc. But the structure of the game that union players play, you can't bring the league players into with any sort of strength.
Did you blokes ever watch the Keebra Park v St Augustine's hybrid game that they played a few years ago here? It was news at the time. It was played. I mean, it was interesting to watch, but it was also after half an hour, it was pretty hard to watch, I found. But I mean, you know what? If it's two huge brands like the Kangaroos and the All Blacks, I reckon you're not talking about two high schools. You're talking about global brands that people want to get behind and support. I reckon it'd be unreal.
Well, also names. And when you've got names and personalities with that, guys don't want to get embarrassed. You've got egos. So I think, you're going to get a good balance of players want to go out there. And if you're going out there, you're going to give it a red hot crack. So I think shorten the halves maybe would keep it interesting. Maybe 30-minute halves or something like that would keep it pretty powerful, pretty dynamic. Yeah. I just, I'm interested in it. Yeah, I'd love to watch it.
Morgs, what was your thoughts? You'd like to see it or not, mate?
Yeah, I'd like to see it in terms of entertainment value and revenue for both organisations. I see a fair few stumbling blocks. Gits mentioned the player availability, how real an All Blacks team it would have to be to play it. I'd say there's a fair few hurdles in front of it before it would get up, that's for sure.